Hey guys, welcome back to the review of my personal Criterion collection, and today we're going to be looking at what is often considered one of the most, important, spectacular, one of the best movies released in the 2000s, and that would be Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love, which is number 147 in the collection, released in 2000, so right at the turn of the century, already off to a great start apparently. So In the Mood for Love is a more recent Criterion I've received. I'm pretty sure I bought it maybe like a year or two ago. And it was a movie I'd always heard about and I'd always known how great it was supposed to be. Particularly from Tony Zhao's videos, the guy behind Every Frame a Painting, which is one of the greatest YouTube channels ever made. And he talked about it briefly in one of his videos. I think it might have been his one on editing. And that, along with just everything else I'd heard about it, really made me want to watch it and seek it out. And so finally one day I picked up the Criterion and gave it a shot. I'll just say I have a weird relationship with this movie, where it is a film that I really admire and I feel like I understand what it's going for, and thinking back on it and talking about it with people, I really get excited about it and really interested about it. But while watching it, it's a very different experience emotionally, which now that I'm talking through it, I feel like that might be sort of the point. We'll get into it. So, In the Mood for Love takes place in the early 1960s in Hong Kong with two different people. I'm going to use their last names for now. I'm sure I get my notes right so I can say these names correctly. Tony Leung Chiu-wai as Chow, I know I probably said his name wrong, and Maggie Chung Man-yuk as, I didn't write down her name because I'm a horrible person, as Sue. So we'll do Sue and Chow. But both of them have coincidentally moved in next to each other in this apartment complex, and both of their spouses appeared to always be out of town, leaving them very isolated and lonely, and they sort of eventually come to the conclusion that, well, both of their spouses are probably sleeping with each other, and from there the two of them sort of form this relationship that's not really meant to be romantic, but there definitely are some feelings underneath the surface as they both try to sort of reconcile with their own loneliness and their own issues and restricting feelings and natures while navigating through their own lives. And while that may seem kind of vague and lacking of events, In the Mood for Love could be anything, is anything but uneventful. It is a film that, despite nothing really happening, it is a film that has a really great premise, but none of the characters really do anything, feels very exciting and engaging, and that comes a lot from Kar-wai's direction and the crew that he's assembled, his cinematographer, his writer, set designers, just everybody coming together to make a movie about inaction, very active, and then to also get these main performances which are just incredible. These two actors are able to sort of convey the smallest emotions and sort of the restraint, the submission they almost feel, just in these tiny mannerisms, or just in like a way that they look at each other, or a line read, or just whatever have you. You know, they're these just incredible actors, and it's very important that they're able to convey so much in such a short amount of time, because In the Mood for Love is a very quickly paced film where it's all killer, no filler. It's a movie that is just over an hour and a half, and yet it feels like an epic film. It spans multiple years, especially near the end, and it feels like it's on a much grander scale, despite being about these two fairly ordinary people in a somewhat abnormal situation, a twist of fate as it comes. And I think that comes from the way the film is shot and edited, where we are getting sort of the quick glimpses at their lives, and we're seeing the most important moments happening in their lives. And the most important moments are not the few discussions they do have with their significant other. The important moments aren't the big emotional outbreaks. It's the small expressions. It's the in-between. It's the waiting and the longing. It's all of the in-between moments that would normally make up a larger film, where there's no big emotional outburst. There's no big declaration of love. It's ultimately a film about unrequited love, and love that has its moment, has its spark, but quickly dies out, and sort of how we navigate through that and deal with it, or more specifically how these two characters deal with it, especially within a environment and a society to a certain extent that is very constrictive, that's very controlling. That sort of thing I really admire about the film is how it's able, just through its gorgeous set design, quick, non-traditional editing, through its main performances, just everything, through its repetition. I think its repetitive nature is extremely important, showing how often people go through the ropes and go through the motions and yet never really act on anything they're feeling. How much it works to make what is on paper kind of a boring narrative and boring structure and makes it engaging and exciting. But the the interesting thing about the film is its dedication to that, to the point where by the end, nothing happens, right? Like, it is so clearly about inactive people feeling unable to act on anything they are feeling or anything that they want, and simply accepting their fate, spending the rest of their lives longing and thinking wistfully on what was. And or maybe not even both of them, maybe just one of them feels that way. It's never totally clear, I feel like. I think it is somewhat ambiguous, and I think that's meant to be a reflection on life. It's meant to be a reflection on how you'll never fully know how someone else feels about you and about the same thing you both experienced. Because of that, this movie that has been very warm and very intimate and very detail-oriented, right, that makes you so empathetic to these characters, is ultimately very cold, very melancholic. And it's just a film that I don't know, I get to the end of it and I'm left very hollow. And I think that's the goal. I think that's the ultimate point of it. And so that's why when I'm discussing it now, I'm very excited about it, and the images that I'm conjuring in my head are just so fantastic, And it's a movie that I do love, but I don't necessarily love in the moment. It's capturing, it's this tragic film that is capturing a very specific moment in time, and then dealing with people trying to capture that again, or trying to deal with it. But it is a fantastic film. It is an amazing film. And this Criterion release definitely does a lot to help you get a better idea of the film or its context. So on this release, you get this really great documentary, I think it's almost feature length, where they go into the behind the scenes of the film, not only in the actual production of it, but also in the pre-production, looking at the original concept, where kar-wai wanted to make two different movies set in two different locations, dealing with similar topics, and see how differently they would be portrayed within each city. I believe, this ended up being in Hong Kong, and that's where one of the movies was going to be. And then the other film, I want to say, was going to be in Singapore. I could have that wrong, but 90% sure about that. But then we also have deleted scenes. We have a short film from kar-wai. We have this interview with him, and also an interview with the two lead actors. They had this really great discussion with Tony Raines, where he talks about sort of analyzing the film and how it fits within Wong Kar-wai's overall filmography. And it's very fascinating and really interesting and really engaging. And there's also a really great booklet in here, a really great essay with Steve Erickson, and then also excerpts, or I believe just the short story, by Liu Yi Chang. I apologize. And the story that provided thematic inspirations for the film. The essay by Erickson is actually really interesting, and again giving context for the film and how this movie fits within his whole filmography. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this release is how much context it gives and how much material it gives for you to chew on, especially with a film as mysterious and as visual as In the Mood for Love is, where it is a film that is visually giving you all the answers. The hardest part is interpreting it, because not a lot of the dialogue is telling you how the characters are feeling. It's all in the way that things are presented, the use of music, the way characters are looking at each other or acting around each other. It's a purely visual film that really utilizes the medium in the best ways possible. It's a very, very special film, and one that I really can't recommend highly enough. Even if it's a movie I'm not sure I'll be watching again anytime soon, just because of I feel like it's kind of a slog to get through at points, just because of how I don't know if depressing is the right word, but how melancholic it can be. But it is a very special and beautiful film, and one of the best examples of a unique film being made in the 21st century. But yeah, that's my take on In the Mood for Love. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure to like and share the video around. And also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, including the next Criterion Collection review, where we will be looking at one of my favorite movies, and definitely one of, if not my favorite, Wes Anderson movies, The Royal Tenenbaums. I hope to see you all there. Bye-bye.